food's good where barbecue and grilling is made tasty. So today we're going to do a spatchcocked turkey. We'll smoke it for about 20 minutes and then we'll probably grill it for, I think it's about 7.5 minutes per pound, and this is a 13-pound turkey. We'll do some compound butter underneath it and those types of things, and then before we do that we're actually going to brine it. So we're going to brine it overnight and then take it out, let it dry over one more night, and then we'll cook it up. So if you like this type of content, please subscribe in the lower right hand corner. So what we're going to do with this guy is we're actually going to do the spatchcocked version of it, which is you're basically cutting out the spine of the turkey. So we're going to flip it over, put it on its breast, and then cut out the spine, and you basically are cutting out along the ribs. You're not actually cutting the spine itself, you need to cut out the sides on the ribs. That is just a lot more effective. So with that, I'll get this flipped over and then I'll show you, cutting through it and cutting out the spine, and then we'll actually push down on it and crack down and open it up, and then we'll have a flat turkey, and we'll eventually even cook it on a pizza stone. Not required, but a way that we're going to do it to show you a lot of different tips and tricks. Okay, so we've got our bird flipped over, and I like to start from the back, and basically you're going to cut a swath like this right down its spine through its neck. You don't want to cut into the heavy bone because that's really hard to do. If you cut the kind of the ribs, it works out a lot better, and then we'll end up flipping it back over and then smashing her down and flatten her out. So I'll speed up the video so you don't have to sit there and watch me cut, but you'll get the idea. Okay, so I've got its entire spine taken out there. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup, but nothing too bad. But you get the idea, and then we'll flip it over here in a second. I'll show you how to crunch down on it and kind of break the rest of it to flatten her out. Down. There we go. So now we've got a spatchcocked bird that has no spine, is laying nice and flat. We've got these wings up here that we'll tend to later, but we're going to get it in a brine here in a minute. And then after I brine it, I'll take it out and I'll actually let it rest overnight so the skin can dry. Helps get crispy skin. And then we're also going to cut some slits and put in some compound butter in this. But I'm going to get this in the brine, and probably a good time to talk about the brine. So we got this brine. We got a few of these different types of brine. This is a turkey brine that's a gourmet blend that we got from Costco. And this one has sugars, salt, cranberries, exhausted vanilla beans, allspice, apple, garlic, orange peel, black pepper, rosemary, pink peppercorns, thyme, bay leaves, and sage. So this is obviously came pre-packaged, which kind of makes it convenient. And for this one, it was like 1 gallon for 2 cups of the brine. So I've got a gallon and a half here, and I got a half gallon here. So I'm gonna end up putting it into this. So I'll actually put the turkey in first, then I'll put my brine on top of it, and then add the extra water. And then you need to keep it cold. So we're in fall here right now, which is nice. So we're able to keep it in the garage, and it stays in the 40s. So that's fine. If you don't, either you need to pack it in ice, or you need to be able to put it in a refrigerator of some sort to keep it cool. But with that, I've got to put this on the ground to be able to do it, but I just got a 5-gallon bucket lined with a deal here so that I don't have any problems with the plastics and stuff like that. But I'll drop this guy in there, and I'll have some pictures of what it looks like with the brine and stuff like that. But yeah, we're good to go. Okay, so we brined our turkey overnight, and it's really a 12 to 24 hour deal. And so this actually probably is about 20 hours, give or take. And so now I took it out and just put it in this container. I'm going to throw it in the fridge like this and not seal it. What I want to kind of do is get the skin to start to really be fairly well dry by the time we put it on the grill tomorrow. And then I'm going to put some compound butter in the thighs and in the breast area to flavor it up, and then that'll also give it enough heat to kind of crisp up the skin, because that's one of the tough parts about when you start with smoking them for a little bit and then turning up the temperature on them, getting that skin and the fat to render. Adding some butter in there gets it to render a little bit better, so we'll show that stuff tomorrow. But we're all brined up, good to go. Gonna let this rest overnight. Again, that's a step that, that's up to you if you want to do those steps and not, multiple days like that. I've got the time, so I'm doing it, and it's just kind of a trick to show you that if it's something you have the time, you can do it. If you don't, just dry it off the best you can and start cooking it once you do the compound butter. But we're gonna let it sit overnight, and then we're gonna cook it tomorrow. Okay, so we let it rest overnight, and it's looking good. It dries the skin out a little bit, but not too bad. We're gonna end up putting some olive oil on it here in a minute, but now we're gonna do the compound butter part, which is what I was talking about earlier. And so I've had butter that I sat out overnight, so I'll be able to mix it up. And I've just got about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic crushed up, and then rosemary, thyme, and sage, all fresh, and they're all just chopped up. And I'd say it's about a teaspoon of those, give or take. And we're just going to mix that in with our butter. And then I went ahead and actually created some pockets. So you'll be able to see when I put the butter in, but I kind of separated this part of the skin all the way down to about there, so that you could put the butter inside of it and on that side. And then I cut little slits, which you'll see once I start putting it in on the thighs, because I'll turn it around as I do stuff. But basically on the thighs and drumsticks, I created some slits here that we're going to actually put the compound butter underneath the skin. And that way it's really going to help it get some heat on it to render the fat and to cook the skin better, so you get a really good skin on a first smoked and then second, basically grilled at like 375 turkey. So you kind of get the best of all worlds. And then you've got spatchcock, so as you can see, everything's laid out nice and neat and put together. So with that, I'll get the compound butter going, and then I'll show you how we stuff it in there, and then we'll throw it on the grill and get it cooking. Okay, I'm going to switch out these gloves, and then we'll start stuffing in the bird. Alright, so now we're going to put in some of our compound butter inside, and you see what I did here is I just separated the skin here so you get some nice pouches in there. We're just going to kind of put it on the meat and then down into the skin there. So we'll just keep taking little bits by little bits and just kind of spread it out in here. And one of the best ways is just to kind of stick it down in here and then kind of spread it out once it's inside. Okay, now I'm going to move to the thighs, and you can see I cut this nice little slit right there. So we're able to just take the same thing, drop some butter in here, and we'll just work that skin, work it around all these pockets and get it spread out throughout the meat and the skin. And I'm telling you this, like I said, you don't have to do everything that I'm doing on this, like any of the, really any of the steps, but doing it all together, I'm showing you kind of everything all at once that you can do with these things. But this just alone is good when you do the compound butter, but doing the brining and everything else makes a big difference for the whole bird. Okay, we're all good. We got the pizza stone on there already, and we'll drop it on the stone here in a minute. Okay, so our turkey's been on for 20 minutes at 180, so just a light smoke, nothing big. It doesn't take a lot to get it into the skin to give it just a little extra flavor. We're not doing a full smoked turkey, so we're just doing kind of a hybrid here to get a little bit of smoky flavor, but then we're going to turn up the heat. So we'll take a look at it, see what we got. I'm going to throw in some temp probes to make sure that I'm holding temperatures, and we'll probably pull it off when the thickest part of the meat gets to about 165, which I think will be somewhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours, somewhere in there. So anyways, let's take a look at it, see what we got going. Perfect. So no big deal. We got it on the stone. You know, starting to render some of that butter already, some of that fat and stuff, and so, you know, I'll put my probes in and turn the temperature up to 375, and then we'll check it in about an hour and just kind of monitor the temperatures and time and see what we get. Okay, so we had it on for just about an hour and 20 minutes or so, and it got to 165, so it got there pretty quick with the stone, which, you know, is a good thing. And so we're going to take a look at it. My guess is it's looking just right, and then we're going to rest it for about 20 minutes, carve it up, and serve it. That's looking perfect. So you can tell we got the skin looks just right. You know, there's plenty of juices. You know, everything looks really good. So we'll take it, get it off here. We'll let it sit for 20 minutes, like I said, and then we'll carve her up, and then we'll eat it. Alright, so we took it off, we let it rest for 20 minutes, and you'll see pictures of it when it was all put together ahead of this, but really wanted to show you, you know, this is how we carved it up. We took the thighs and the legs and took those off, and I mean, it literally just fell apart, and it's just juice everywhere. And then we took the breast out and then just cut those into kind of bigger chunks so they're not too dry at all. And this thing's so moist, I want to show you this part. When you look at this, the carcass all the way down to the bone, you know, this meat is tender and juicy and really tasty. I mean, you get the full flavor of the brine, the butter, compound butter we did, the whole 9 yards. So, official taste test? Mm-hmm. Alright.
Yummy!
Pretty good, isn't it? Man,
That's
you
so
think
good.
you think about turkey breast being dry and you gotta throw gravy on it and it doesn't have any flavor.
Juicy.
This stuff has juicy flavor too, right? Taste the salts, the rubs, all the stuff we used. So if you like this type of content, what do you do?
Subscribe!
Alright, thank you. Appreciate you watching.